We have a decade of serial killers, Edwardian romanticism, prairie naturalism, but what they got was a bad prom dress and power pants, power suits with blouses. Everybody was trying to stay alive. Everybody was going nowhere. Somebody helped them, and they were helped through their wardrobe, through fashion. They were funneled into fantasy by fashion. That's a good one. I think I'll keep it. I don't go around stepping on people's balls. In reaction to women suddenly wearing pants and making insecure men feel uncomfortable, the men's fashion trend was definitely a reaction to women's lib, embracing masculinity, machismo. So as women discarded their pencil skirt, girdles, pantyhose, men adopted tighter pants. It's to display their family jewels, to narrow your eyes straight at the crotch to show you how much they have to offer. This isn't something new. Men have been drawing your eyes to their I don't think this hand gesture is acceptable on YouTube. Tight pants, tight trousers are not a new fashion item for men in the Elizabethan age. In the medieval age, men have worn tights. Their tights usually came with codpiece to show you their talents. In the 70s, men's pants just got a lot tighter. In the 50s and 40s, remember I Love Lucy, men's trousers were big, baggy, high-waisted. Fred Mertz wore his trousers all the way up to his armpits. It was called the Mertz. He was Mertzin. In the 70s, we have bell bottoms. Bell bottoms were very tight around the hips, the groin, free around the ankles. That fell in line with the wide silhouette trend. Men adopted wide ties, very wide, in-your-face ties. Their shirts and blazers came with extremely wide collars. Mustaches were a thing. You couldn't step outside your door without seeing a man with a mustache. Bushy mustaches, handlebar mustaches. It complements the longer hair. Hair was shorter in the 50s, but as that decade ended, hair got longer, more natural. Men stopped pomading and overdoing their hair. I would just like to point you to the evolution of style in the Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch was a zitcom. There are a few words I literally cannot say for the life of me. One is rural and the other is sitcom. Zitcom, situational comedy. When Mike, Greg, Peter, and Bobby grew out their meticulously combed, pomaded Dennis the Menace hairdos in exchange for a curly top, kind of a half mullet. I didn't care for it, and I was really into tidy things, but my opinion has changed. Now I'm just indifferent. Men like to show off their chest hair, falling in line with showing off their masculinity. They wore these shirts with the wide lapels, casually unbuttoned right here to show off all that chest hair. Burt Reynolds was a poster child of the mustache. On the opposite end of the spectrum, the turtleneck with blazer look was a thing. Just thought I'd mention it. Let me know if you enjoy a nice mustache. Let me know if you are a hoe for mustaches. I really need to get through this video without calling my viewers hoes. What is your favorite type of mustache? Let me know if you like the casually unbuttoned shirt, how bushy of chest hair you enjoy, if you prefer your men waxed. Returning to the Edwardian revival trend that was also going on simultaneously in the 70s, ascots became quite the fad. Ascots, reminiscent of the 19th century cravat as worn by our favorite Mr. Darcy, the poster child of the ascot, Mr. Roper, from Three's Company. Three's Company is also another sitcom. When I was a child, I watched a lot of television. I was raised on television. My parents censored me in other ways. They wouldn't allow me to play outside with friends, so my friends became television. and I'm completely normal, I swear. Just like this video has no script, and I'm just making things up as I go along, just as my life has no plan and I am just going where the wind takes me. I am going to recount to you a very brief plot of Three's Company. Janet and Chrissy, two roommates who need a third roommate, a guy, Jack Tripper, a horn dog, always trying to get into their pants in order for their landlord, Mr. and Mrs. Roper, to accept the fact that two girls can room with a guy. I know, it's very of its time. Jack had to pretend that he was led to many comedic misunderstandings and sexual innuendo. I'm quite proud of myself that I remember that. The point of all this is to illustrate that Mr. Roper was a huge fan of the leisure suit. He has one in every color and every pattern, a powdered blue number, wide lapels. He paired it with white leather shoes. It was polyester to the max. He always had an ascot, a scarf tied around his neck. Boomer viewers, Gen X viewers, millennial viewers who grew up on reruns, please correct me if I'm wrong. He had a sniffing problem, didn't he? Mr. Roper loved to sniff. He was always going like this. I don't know if it was because he had allergies or that was his facial tic. He was sniffing cocaine downstairs. That was his thing. And I loved him. He was so old. His wife, Mrs. Roper, was always hungry for sex. She was a woman with a fierce appetite for lovemaking. She wore her kaftan. She was a perfect representation of that caravan gypsy style for the suburban American woman. I think this show took place in Santa Monica. Santa Monica was a suburb, yeah? So men's fashion, lots of leisure suits, lots of polyester. Upper crusty gentlemen were able to afford a bespoke suit from Savile Row. Now, every man can afford a suit. To make it affordable, to cut costs, we have suits in polyester, so the expectation is that every man, no matter what your social class, no matter what you make, white collar, blue collar, you could wear a suit every day and look like a gentleman. The suits that were shipped out for the masses were made of polyester and became the leisure suit that we know today. And mustaches. Lots of mustaches. Lots of peekaboo chest hair. I'm kind of scared of chest hair. Like if I had to choose between a very manly man with chest hair and a mustache and an androgynous fellow, I like the androgynous fellow. Is it because I'm an anime fan that the androgynous fellow with a smooth body appeals to me? And I'm kind of terrified of mustaches and chest hair. Somebody gave you a choice between two cookies, chocolate chip, oatmeal raisin. I like oatmeal raisin. Let me know if that makes any sense. I think it makes sense. What do you think? Speaking of the desirable androgynous male, glam rock. The polar opposite of the machismo look of the 70s. Again, as you can see, the 70s was a smorgasbord of simultaneous trends. It is just like the various micro trends we see on TikTok today. You could be anything you want to be. The only thing that everybody had in common, they wanted to escape economically depressed reality and take a flight into fantasy. And that is exactly what glam rock is. It is a trend that did not make it to the masses. It was definitely a scene in music. It celebrated androgyny. Men wore makeup. Men wore high heels, huge platforms, skin-tight jumpsuits with a lightning bolt. And the poster child for this movement, Freddie Mercury from Queen, David Bowie. Confession, I've never listened to any of David Bowie's music. I'm told it's very good, but if somebody were to blast out anything from him, I would be completely in the dark. But I have listened to and seen Bohemian Rhapsody, so I'm not completely without culture here. When I was 16, 17 or so, I had this huge crush on Irish actor Jonathan Rhys Myers, who was a very pretty boy. That's what I liked at the time. I liked the pretty men, pretty boys veering on androgynous. Leo DiCaprio in Titanic, that floppy hair that got in your face. Is he a man? Is he a woman? I don't know. That's what I liked. Gender fluidity. If I were a teen nowadays, BTS would be my jam. I like the pretty boy. I like the androgynous man, the man that seems like he will never grow any facial hair. And that was JRM to a T. He was the star of a David Bowie inspired movie called Velvet Goldmine in 1999. And that is my one and only experience with glam rock. The masses never adopted it, or maybe they did. Maybe they did in the cities, probably not the suburbs. If glam rock with its platform shoes and its skin-tight jumpsuits and its lightning bolts were to go head-to-head in a ring with the 70s mustache machismo man, I would be rooting for the glam rock. I would be rooting for him to do a roundhouse kick with his platform. Why are these two styles in a fight with each other? I would be rooting for the glam rock man. I think he has great potential to win this fight. He has platform shoes that could deliver a deadly blow to the machismo guys. Very exposed nuts in his super tight bell bottoms. The glam rock guy has a lightning bolt on his face, painted in bright pink makeup. I don't know about you, but I find that very potent and very deadly. Effortless and elegant, comfortable look. This look is a simple, slinky. This look had its origins in the now famous Versailles 73 fashion show. 5 French designers and 5 American designers went head to head in a fundraiser in what is known as the Battle of Versailles. As a result of this legendary fashion show, the world was introduced to the likes of Oscar de la Renta, Calvin Klein, Halston. American designers brought relaxed fashion to the world. Designs were elegant, simple, effortless, and clean. The slinky halter dress is very simple. It's kind of Grecian. There's ruching around the halter area, the little peekaboo area for your cleavage, and everything drapes naturally, configuring to the natural female form. The natural female form at the time was willowy, very thin. It didn't take much to be thin back in the day. Calvin Klein jeans, yet in its infancy, now makes a huge splash. Most of Halston's design during the 73 fashion show. There is a lot of flow in the material. All the models are strutting down the runway in their very comfortable gowns, swishing their gauzy capes, a much more comfortable alternative for evening wear than 2 decades past. The very structured Dior new look, tiny bottoms and full skirt. Materials used were jersey, silk, and cotton. I've seen celebrities such as Elizabeth Taylor wearing this look. Long, drapey, slinky gowns, never without a swishy gauze cape. It almost looks like you are a Grecian patrician woman off to dinner in your villa, sipping a glass of wine, lounging around the pool in Tuscany. Actually, you're Grecian, so why are you lounging in Tuscany? You're wearing Grecian sandals. Your hair is piled up in a half bun, half ponytail, and you may add a turban, but you are never without your swishy, flowy, translucent gauze cape. That's the look we are going for. Elegant simplicity. That's probably the look that you will catch me in had I lived in the 70s. It's summery, it's light. You look like a woman of the world. It's basically the grandfather, your modern day maxi dress. It's resort wear. And in the same timeline of your swishy Grecian dress, we have a dress that needs no introduction, the Diana von Furstenberg wrap dress, a dress silhouette that looks good on all women, no matter your shape or size. It's a timeless design, comfortable and elegant for all. 1976 is the bicentennial anniversary of America's independence. America is 200 years old. People of the 70s were infused with patriotism, and they want to show that patriotism in their wardrobe in the colors red, white, and blue. It's everywhere, much like the 2013-2014 era in which we saw American flags on cutoff short, American flags on tank top, and the American flag draped around Lana Del Rey as she rides into the sunset with her motorcycle posse and her culturally appropriated Native American headdress. It was a time, it was our time, very similar to the Americana, all-American trend of the 70s. What did we have in the 70s? Patchwork dresses, patchwork jeans, homespun items. Everybody wanted to kind of look like the cooler, updated version of Betsy Ross denim. Calvin Klein came to the world stage's attention, and we have jeans to show for it. Everybody was in denim, maybe head-to-toe denim, the Canadian tuxedo, denim flare leg jeans, a proliferation of very tanned people, very tan celebrities, a trend I've noticed from watching television, movies, variety shows in particular. We have celebrities the likes of Elizabeth Taylor and Dean Martin getting really fried, loving their tanning boobs, and looking kind of like Oompa Loompas. Farrah Fawcett of Charlie's Angels, very all-American, big blonde hair, big bright smile, blue eyes, great tan, athletic, comfortable, at leisure, the red bikini, a pinup, skating without a care in the world, wearing Nike Cortez. Oh, balls. Had a little accident. I spilled water all over my shirt and on my chair, and now I'm sitting on a pile of water. It's pretty obvious on camera, but does that stop me? No, it doesn't, because I am on a roll. I'm on something, all right. But a little water and a stained shirt is not going to stop me from delivering my thoughts about fashion of the 70s. And since I'm already on the all-American look, let's talk about the nostalgia people of the 70s had for Americana. A simpler time during their tempestuous decade. They were looking for escape, to reminisce about colonial days, revolutionary times, but no period of nostalgia was as noticeable or chronicled than the 50s. American Graffiti, Grease, the television show Happy Days, the new crop of screenwriters, directors, producers, actors, the influencers and content creators of the time grew up during the 50s. Naturally, they would have nostalgia for that decade. And that brings me what you've all been waiting for, the trend that we associate with the 70s the most, and that is there is a misconception about disco. We tend to associate that trend in particular with the 70s, but little did we know it is a very short-lived trend lasting from 75, ending in 78, only taking off in the cities, maybe only in New York City with Studio 54, and made famous by Saturday Night Fever starring John Travolta. You all know the white leisure suit, the dance moves, no finger pistols. This, I'm not going to break out my disco moves because that is terrifying. Disco where it was not something people wore to go shopping in. It was basically your effortless jumpsuit, your halter tops, your leisure, you just add sequins. So disco confined to the big city, confined to a short period of time, confined to music, immortalized by Saturday Night Fever, the Bee Gees, immortalized by New York City. Speaking of New York City was not the tourist destination that we think it is. And Times Square is not a tourist trap. It was crusty, crime-ridden, saturated by X-rated movie houses, women selling their wares on the street corner, and pimps and sons of Sam. A blackout darkened the city. President of the United States told the city in so many words to drop dead. It was kind of cool. From somebody who has only seen this version of New York City through murder documentaries, Martin Scorsese films, Taxi Driver, Annie Hall, Woody Allen movies, Woody Allen. That movie Warriors, about gang members in New York City who all have coordinating outfits. That really creepy character Jingling, who stuck a mini bar on his fingers and jingled the glass bottles. Warriors, come out to play. New York City in the 70s was crusty, it was seedy, corrupt, crime-ridden, but it had so much authenticity, so different from the prepackaged, commercialized Times Square that we know today. It seemed like a place that a woman with glasses like me wouldn't want to be, but at the same time wish she could strip off her glasses and put on a hip hooker outfit, put on her best pair of platforms and party at Studio 54. Am I saying that I want to be a little dirty? Am I saying that I am experiencing enormous suburban ennui and deep down I want to experience the seedy underbelly of a city during a particular time so that I can feel alive? I don't know what I'm saying, to be honest. These books are turned inside out. That shows you how crazy I am. We thought the 70s were over, but let me tell you one thing. The 70s are never over. The 70s lives on. The 70s lives on in trend cycles that return every 20 years. Let me remind you of the 70s, 90s revival. In the 90s, the late 90s, we have 70s fashion infiltrating our fashion. I say our as if we all lived in the 90s. Around 96 through 99, there was a giant wave of nostalgia from those who came of age and became content creators in the 90s. That 70s show, Freaks and Geeks, the movie Down and Out in Beverly Hills, so many stripes, so much brown, so much this color palette. And we have the man himself, Quentin Tarantino, who loves the 70s so much. Pulp Fiction is my favorite movie of all time. I watched it when I was a little kid. I learned some lessons from this movie. I didn't know what they were at the time, and I've learned a few very choice words. How you should never sniff unidentified heroin. Always ask before you snort up somebody's cocaine in case it's not cocaine. And I learned what a GIMP is, and that was eye-opening. I also learned the difference between a motorcycle and a chopper. Pulp Fiction premiered in '94. There was something very 70s about it. He has been directing movies with 70s touches ever since. In '97, wide leg jeans were definitely a thing. Neon green nail polish and psychedelic colors in metallics became all the rage. Polyester floral dresses, platform sandals, mood rings, plaid bell bottoms, ringer tees with rainbow edging. Just look inside the Delia catalog. 70s fashion in the 90s, all accumulating in Smashing Pumpkins 1979, which is peak 90s, 70s nostalgia. Nostalgia. The 70s, a smorgasbord of simultaneous trends born from a need to escape the reality of a recession, of political turmoil, of social anxiety, a time that is surprisingly very similar to our own time. So let me know what your favorite trend of the 70s is, and I'm sure that I've missed a trend, and I'm sure somebody will tell me. Tell me in the comments below. I will return next time with a new decade, or I'll just pull something out of my magic hat. In any event, it'll be entertaining, but no less scatterbrained. So you know what to do. Smash the like button, reply, and don't forget to subscribe. I would wave to you, but my arms jiggle. I'll just spare you that image, and bye! Oh, that's hot. Every sip is burning the roof of my mouth. Oh, but I'm enjoying it. Oh yeah, that's good stuff.